Time now for an in-depth look at the market news this afternoon, and for that I'm joined on the line by Mr. Daniel Yu, global strategist at Yuanta Securities. Mr. Yu, thank you for making time on this Friday.
Good afternoon.
Well, the sell-off in tech stocks continues on Wall Street, and investors seeming less than impressed with the signals from the Fed. Stocks were sharply lower on Thursday. What's the story in the global markets?
Yes, if you look at the U.S. market, the futures and options closing date is tonight. So that's why volatility seems to be remaining quite heavy. If you look at the overall market, U.S. continued to show declining trend for last 2 days. Dow Jones lost about 0.5%, S&P 500 retreated about 0.8%, and NASDAQ was down by 1.3%. The big tech companies showed quite a big decline in terms of share prices due to dampened sentiment. On the corporate side, the share of the Snowflakes, the biggest IPO software company in history, tanked about 9.6% after more than doubling on Wednesday. This is invested by the Warren Buffett himself. Also, if you look at the CNBC reporting, President Trump is expected to make a verdict on the TikTok U.S. futures over the next 24 to 36 hours. On the macro side, the data were coming in mixed. On a weekly jobless claims totaled about 860,000, which beat 875,000 expectations. But if you look at the housing starts, it missed the estimations and it dropped in August by 0.9%. So mixed signals coming out from the economic front, and also we need some more boosting measures from the government side on the fiscal policy side, whereas the Fed have said that they have doing everything possible, and they will continue to show remain the interest rate at zero rate over the next 2 more years at least until 2023. So I think that we need some fresh news in regards to the fiscal policy side in order for the market to go up, and also we need that the options and futures date to be finished by end of today.
Right. Well, Korean stocks were up and down today. Strong buying from foreign investors, though, for a gain of about 0.25% on the Kospi. What happened in the Korean markets?
Right. I think the biggest booster for the Korean market was because of the foreign investors net buying. If you look at the total amount for the Kospi, they bought about 144 billion won worth of Korean equities, and also on the Kosdaq market, they bought about 130 billion won worth of it. Main reason for that is because won is appreciating quite aggressively even today. It's appreciated by about 1 percentage point, and it is hitting 1161, and we haven't seen that kind of currency exchange rate in a while. So continue to see a appreciation trend is happening for Kospi and Korean won. And because of that, Korean market seems to be reasonably doing okay with the foreign investors net buying. But institutional money continues to be net seller, and that seems to be the case because the redemption is continued happening, where the local retail investors are buying on their own and directly into the equity market. In terms of the macro side, the Minister Hong Nam-gi have said that National Assembly to approve a fourth supplementary budget early next week in order to give emergency handouts to small merchants ahead of the Chuseok holiday seasons. On the COVID front, we continue to suffer upticks in terms of the daily new infections. It continues to remain at well above 100 cases per day. It has reported about 153 new cases, including 145 local infections. So continuation of the boosting measures is necessary. The social distancing is still remaining to be quite there. And that it results into weak domestic consumption numbers. And we need to see export numbers picking up. But if you look at the currency side, it is appreciating too fast, and which could be fairly negative news for the market for the next short to medium terms.
Now, LG Chem, they're going to spin off their battery business into a separate subsidiary that will remain unlisted, at least initially. This is getting some resistance from shareholders, though, who think they'll be hurt by this. What do you make of those concerns?
Right. The corporate governance issue is a very important factor, and always is a problem for Korean equity market. The South Korea's LG Chem will spin off its battery division, which has basically, they're trying to focus on the EV power market, and basically the inflated value of stocks could be an issue at this point in time. And there's a concern about the corporate governance issues. But LG Chem have said that the decision was made as the company judged it was more now the right time for the spin-off and structural profit making for the EV battery sector, and the rapid growth rate of battery industry is there, and therefore they need to focus on this, and they have said that. And they have added that the spin-off will allow company to focus on specific business areas and enhance the business efficiency, and it should be positive for the corporate and shareholders' value. I think that always there's doubt in regards to the corporate governance issue for Korean companies, and we've seen that in many cases in the past, and that's the problem at this point in time. If you look at the valuations and the fair prices, we think that Samsung SDI, which is another competitor for the battery business, looks much better than LG Chemical. But in terms of the share price movement today, we saw the LG Chemical moving a lot higher by about 3.2%, whereas Samsung SDI was up about 1.68%. But that's because we have seen a massive decline in share price in the last 2 days prior to today's rise. So I think that people are still doubting about the corporate governance issue at this point in time. But the fact is that the EV business, the battery business, is definitely very, very attractive sector, and that most of the people will be continue to focusing on this, and we will see quite significant growth in terms of this sector.
All right, Mr. Yu, we'll have to leave it there for today. Thanks so much for coming on. Have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you.